Up next on Inside ChampCar, racing at Watkins Glen. Welcome to this episode of Inside ChampCar. Brian Bielanski and Bill Strong here, talking about Watkins Glen International Raceway, Speedway, whatever they call themselves these days. How are you doing, Bill?
Hi, I'm good, man. Been on the road for like 100 weeks, but we're doing good.
How was Watkins Glen?
It was absolutely beautiful up there. Sunny skies. The weather was absolutely perfect, except for Friday. We had a little bit of wetness, but other than that, it was good. Wait, did we have rain there? No, that was the week before. Sorry. This weekend was really good. They all kind of mushed together. But yeah, it was good. It was cold at night. But you know what we're doing at night?
Nothing. Sleeping.
Drinking. Not Siebkins. What's the one at
Oh, I don't know what the bar is. The fun place. There's a ton of them.
Siebkins is at Road America. So whatever the other one is. Yeah. So we were all in there. My Biohazard guys were all there. All my old teammates from back in the day, the Canadians, they were finally able to escape the Great White North and come down and race. Ricky and Tommy. It was great to hang out with them for a bit and
love it.
Talk about old times, yeah. And we'll have them on the show one of these days.
Cool.
Talk about the old days of ChampCar, and then and the current days, and then lots of good food, man. I think I ate steak every night.
That's good if you eat steak.
Yeah. Ate steak every night.
Not my crazy thing anymore, but It's all good. It's all good. We got a guy here with us.
Yeah, he's part of a team that races an extremely rare make of car. Not too many people drive these cars. They're kind of weird. It's 3 letters, B, M, and a W.
Oh boy, no, not one of those guys.
Blinker dudes, or lack of blinker dudes, right? Peter.
Oh, the blink.
Peter Hughey.
Yeah, the blinker delete was the first mod.
Because it's never used. So yeah, Peter, you race with what? Oh, that's on the other notepad. Full Send Motorsports. Too many pads of paper here.
Yep.
Full Send. You guys were at Watkins Glen this past week.
Ask for anything better. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, Bill.
I know. So I'm surprised Brian hasn't interrupted me, but we start off the segment with how'd you get started in racing?
I'm letting you have your good time, Bill.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I got started in racing. My uncle had actually been racing in Lemons with my other uncle, and he had decided that he wanted a little bit more. Not to besmirch the good name of Lemons, but he was looking for maybe something a little bit more serious, and so he talked to myself. He talked to my dad, and we also had a coworker that was interested, and so we decided, heck, let's grab a 330, and we did. We spent about a year building it up, and then we came out, and actually our baptism about, I think, 4 years ago, 2019, was Watkins Glen, which was something.
Yeah, that's an eye-opener. So first year we ever ran Watkins Glen, it was supposed to be only for people that had experience racing. It was much like Daytona was back then. Like, you had to have raced with us before because it was really hard. But what'd you think of it your first time?
Oh, the first time was, of course, people blowing by you, everyone in your mirror constantly, white knuckling the steering wheel. And of course, we had contact with the wall. So it was like everything all at once. Get everything bad that can happen out of the way your first race.
So you guys had done HPDEs before, or any track days or anything?
We had done a lot of autocross, and my uncle had done the Lemons.
Okay.
But as far as a road course, myself, my father, or our other teammate, Colin, none of us had any road course experience.
So Have you done any lemons since then?
I hadn't done any lemons, and I think Mark, my uncle, he's maybe gone back and done one race.
Okay. I was just thinking, because we started in lemons, and we did about 15 or 17 races, something like that. And sometimes it's better to start out slow and kind of work your way up. So maybe these issues, because you tend to get sucked into the must go fast, must go be out of control type thing. And did you find yourself kind of doing that, or was the crash?
Isn't that why we're there?
Yeah, but it's this is a different track, man. I mean, if you started out on like Gingerman, or where are you from?
I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay, so maybe started out so maybe Pittsburgh or one of the smaller tracks there, Nelson Ledges or something.
Absolutely. Looking back on it, we definitely should have done that. It was a combination of, I mean, of course, the car hadn't even really been tested yet and dialed in, so it was a little squirrely out there, and it certainly was a situation where we kind of set ourselves up a little bit.
But you know what? If you don't grab it just do
horns,
it, man.
By the horns.
By the horns.
Yeah, by the
horns. By the horns. Don't grab it by the other end.
Try to save Bill from a telephone call from HR.
So yeah, I mean, just go full send. That's the best way to do, right?
Yep, full send for
Isn't
sure.
that the name of your team? How apropos.
Yeah. So how many races have you guys done with ChampCar?
Oh man, we've been trying to do 4 or 5 a year ever since 2019. So we're now definitely over 20.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So what's the best track you've been to? What in your mind is the best track you've been to?
I mean, it's Watkins Glen. Yeah. It's got to be Watkins Glen.
So which tracks have you been to? Let's start with that.
Yeah.
So I can tell you whether you're full of it or not. Because, if you haven't been to the best track, then Watkins Glen might be the best track you've been to.
Yeah, no, I can see that much. But, yeah, no, we go to VIR. We've been to Thompson. We've been to Pitt. We've been to Nelson Ledges. Heck, I must be forgetting at least one. We definitely do stick around the geographical, Northeast.
So you haven't been to Road America yet. I'd love for you to go there and then answer the question again. As you might suspect, that might be my answer to your question.
Which VIR did you do?
We've done both. We've done North and South, and we're coming up on doing the 24-hour.
Yeah, combining them will really change your mind about that track. It's the full course is just really flowy, and it's a good track.
Flowy.
You get yourself in trouble. Flowy, you just do sound effects for the podcast.
Yeah, I don't have a flowy sound effect on my little machine here. I'll have to work on that.
Yeah.
So top dollar for those sound effects. That's
right.
Star Wars-esque.
Yeah.
So
and then we get hit with the YouTube.
Will this be your first 24-hour race, or have you done them before?
It will be the first 24-hour.
Okay, great. I love it. These are my favorites. The 24-hour noobs. Do you have any idea? Do you have a plan going in? Because I can tell you, if you do, just forget about it. It ain't going to work. But what are you guys thinking as you prepare for the 24?
We're doing as much as we can to make the car reliable. Just actually this past weekend, the slight snafu we had was expansion tank, like we were talking about earlier, Bill. We had an expansion tank blow up on us, and so we had to do a quick swap there on Saturday. So we're probably going to be replacing that with a metal expansion tank, probably just a universal metal expansion tank. So
Bimmer World sells those. Yeah, Bimmer World sells those. They're really nice. It's an E36 or E46?
E46.
E46. Yeah, Bimmer World sells a really nice one. And it's not all that much money, but it's well worth it.
Yep.
Getting the Bimmer World plug in there, even though only part of their company, a subsidiary of their company, is our sponsors, Lifeline. But yeah, it's you'll like that. It's a really neat kit. I don't know why. Well, I don't know. BMW sometimes uses stuff that you just question. It's like, why did they do it like this? Why did they wire it like this? Why did they do whatever like this? But
why don't they use lug nuts?
It's a German thing, I think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why, though.
I think it's a TUV required. Yeah, the TUV requires something. I don't know. Maybe it's to do with them to be able to do, being able to do, 150 miles an hour on their way to work type stuff. When the conditions allow.
When the conditions allow. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how did your run? Oh, go ahead.
I try to keep in mind when being frustrated about something that BMW has done, I try to keep in mind that they maybe didn't expect us to go out and absolutely lash the cars the way we do for 8 hours straight. I try to give them a little bit of a.
That is awfully.
Germany's only this long on my map. So.
I was going to say that thought process is awfully rational for a racer. Racers aren't supposed to think that rationally.
Well, something that came up this weekend, my dad was fond of saying this weekend that racing doesn't owe you anything.
No.
So,
yeah, we heard that a bunch at this other race at a 500-mile thing in Indianapolis this weekend. That was the standard theme. This place doesn't owe me anything. What place does? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Every place I work at.
That's a different kind of owing. And usually by the time you've been through, Bill, you owe the place something. Just say it.
What is Bill broke now?
Exactly. So.
Yeah, I kind of freaked out on Saturday. Abel is up there. She's the one that runs race control and or the flaggers. And she can't get her radio working. And I had used one of her plugs down there under her desk, Ethernet plug or something like that. I was down there working. I'm thinking, oh my God, did I just break her radio to all the people out there, the corner workers. And kind of freaking out a little bit, but it wasn't me.
You didn't break it? That's shocking.
No, she had to hold the button in a little longer. So but yeah.
Who are the members of the team? Who's on the team?
Myself, my father, Scott, my uncle, Mark, and this other teammate was a coworker of my father's. His name's Colin, and he's our welding expert.
Got to have one of those.
Yeah.
Along with many other things, Colin and my father and my uncle are proficient mechanics, to say the least.
So, what do you guys do for a living? What pays the bills around your place?
I'm in IT, and my father's in IT.
So when you say IT, you sit on Facebook all day, or you do actual programmer?
I'm a applications analyst, so I help a little bit with digging in, pulling data out of applications, a little bit with training. Mm-hmm. My father's a network manager. My uncle, I think he just got a promotion, actually. He's in app development around Philadelphia. And Colin, I believe, works for Comcast.
So the cool part about that being IT, I'm IT, I guess IT. I was a senior programmer analyst with the University of Virginia, but there were so many in the early days. There were so many IT people racing. You had the engineers and such, but we also had a lot of programmers, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. Or what do you call them? IT guys. And it was like there's just so many of them. I remember Mike Chiswick talking about, we need to really focus on some of these IT groups and spread the word out to them and such. And we did, and it worked. Brought more amount. So does your data collection, does that help you at all with any of your your data collection for the car and the drivers, or do you just not care?
Yeah, I mean, we got an app that we take down some data. We could do a little bit better with that, to be sure. We're just running off an iPad and an app at the moment. We don't have a very robust setup.
Right.
That's something that we're thinking about hard this coming season as we're fleshing out our budget.
But that once you start doing that stuff, it makes it more and more serious, and then sometimes it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, for sure, a little bit. I mean, we'd like at the very least to be able to analyze each other's laps a little bit better and see what when exactly did you hit the brake, when exactly did you hit the gas, and I see other teams doing it, and I'm always envious. I almost want to, and it improves the pit experience too.
Yeah, because you can make fun of it. You can make fun of your dad because you're faster.
I was going to say, that's really the only reason they're doing it. It's just so they have a way to trash talk each other, when you peel off a lap that's a tenth of a second faster. Oh, you were sucky in turn 4.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Visceral did that to me. They have their data collection guy, and I'm done with my stint, and he's showing me like where I'm slow, where I'm fast. But my only response was, "Did I crash a car? No, we're good. Don't really care. We're still in last, so it doesn't matter." I don't know what we were in, but
you can analyze my data as long as you're comparing me to the slowest driver on the team.
Yeah.
I don't want my data up against Randy Popst, or any of those folks. I want my data compared to Bill. I mean, to the slowest guy on the team.
Well, Randy came up to me at where was that? Oh, Atlanta Motorsports Park. I can get you 10 seconds a lap if you take this line. I'm thinking, holy crap.
10 seconds?
That's slow, and it was only one small section because I was taking it wrong.
That's how Randy tells you suck, Bill.
Yeah, well, he's really nice about it.
Exactly. That's the nice way of telling me that I suck.
Yeah.
So, cool. So, Watkins Glen, you guys just got done. How was your run at Watkins Glen?
It was great. It was really great. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, we've been really struggling with the reliability of the car. So to be able to have a nearly uninterrupted 2 days was a breath of fresh air, to say the least. We ended up placing, I believe, 22nd overall. So
that's pretty good with a 110 car field.
We felt so, and especially considering the field the front of the pack has been getting tighter and tighter. I mean, it used to just be a couple of teams that were up there, at 215, 216, and now, I mean, there's 10 teams up there posting a hot lap like that.
Well, wouldn't you say that it's that way even deeper into the field, how the whole field, even if you go racing 50th, 60th, maybe not 70th, 80th, and 90th, but if you go 50, 60 deep in the ChampCar field, all of those teams have stepped up their game, and there's some really good pockets of racing even back, because a lot of times you get teams back there that probably should be up front but have had some sort of a problem too.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It just when we began 4 years ago, we didn't feel like we were super far back, and I mean we were posting like mid 230s and stuff, and yeah, I find so many, and this is a credit to the format of ChampCar and the point system of ChampCar, being able to race against A class, B class, C class, D class, and finding it's all about finding that driver that you can duke around with for 4 or 5 laps and be, trading place back and forth. And that's what it is for me. I don't need to be way up front. I just want to have that competition.
So your 20th place or whatever place run this past weekend, was that with any major issues, or is that kind of where the car should have been?
That's probably about where the car should have been. I mean, Saturday, we had the expansion tank issue, so that took us off Saturday. So Sunday we were 22nd.
Got it.
I think we finished pretty far back on Saturday because we were off the track for an hour.
Sure. So that's the nice part I like about ChampCar, is because, I mean, if you have a bad day on Sunday, it stinks because you got to wait a couple of months or weeks till the next one.
Yeah.
But if you have a bad day on Saturday, and you can get the whole thing back together, you come right back out on Sunday, and we don't even have to talk about Saturday.
No, you forget about it. Like if the better you do on Sunday, you win on Sunday. It's like nobody cares about Saturday.
Oh, exactly.
We won. That kind of stuff.
Exactly. So what's up next for you guys? Is VIR next, or do you have anything between?
VIR is next for us. Yeah, we would have typically put Thompson in that spot, but we've decided that we want to, now that we feel that we've dialed in the reliability, we'll give the 24-hour a shot. It's an experience we all want to have. And I think the car is a little bit better suited for VIR versus Thompson. Thompson's is really tight, and the car, you know, it's a BMW. It's better for the longer sweepers and things like that. So yeah, VIR is next. We're really looking forward to it, and and also maybe a little apprehensive because I'm not sure how we're going to manage to cram that much drive time into 24 hours.
How many people are you racing with you? How many drivers do you have?
At the moment, we'll have 5 drivers.
Okay.
So I think we'll be able to.
I've done it with 4. We did it once, and we said we would never do that again. And but we're a little older too, so 6 was usually what we went with, and I think we went with 5 when one of our guys got sick during the race. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's probably one of the toughest things we've ever done was a 24. And you have to bring, well, you guys will have a pretty reliable car too, unlike us. But, you know, it's the big thing is, you know, you replace everything before the race because it's going to be wore out at the end of the race. So, what is what's your thought of ChampCar? I mean, what do you think of ChampCar? The honest truth.
The honest truth.
All the drama we get, all the rule changes or lack of rule changes or lack of allowing, you know, 2010 Corvettes or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, if we did that, we'd probably be looking at the end of pretty much any other car being competitive. So I land on that side. I really don't spend much time looking at the forums and the drama and stuff like that. My perspective is ChampCar is the best bang for your buck if you're looking for not only seat time, but wheel-to-wheel racing as well. And some people, maybe that's too much for them. But, I mean, if you're looking for serious but not too serious, ChampCar is where you go. And that's the perfect place for 95% of people out there. And if you want to get serious, I mean, look at Sahlen's and Visceral. I mean, you can get real serious if you want to, and you have the budget for it. So, yeah, it's the sweet spot in my mind.
And the funny thing about Visceral is they don't really have that much of a budget. It's his kid does all the work on it. Well, Ron does too, but you know, and it's there's hardly any money there, and he races on a lot of used stuff a lot. So, I think a lot of it too is he's stuck with a platform. You know, we've seen over the years, guys, they get a car, they race it for a year or a few when I say a year, 2 or 3 races, and they find out that, oh, this isn't a really reliable car, so go buy something else instead of developing what they had. And they're just all over the place and learning a platform. So, and Visceral, their first race ever with that car was, I think, 2014, 15, and they've stuck with it since. So,
well, and it also helps when you use a platform that's, you know, it's a known quantity. You know there are go fast parts. You know there's advice out there that you can find, whether you're scraping through the Google or whether you've got other teams on the grid that you could go and talk to. You know, if you run some crazy thing like an Opal or an MR2 or something,
or a VW Rabbit or something.
Exactly. You might not have all of that, and it just takes your time. Then you've got a development time that you have to put in, rather than using up someone else's previously spent money on development. Right. So that can help as well. So, do you like when the big guys, and I say the big guys, Sahlen's and all the guys with the perceived bigger budgets? I shouldn't say perceived. Some of them really do have bigger budgets.
Some do have good
budgets. Do you enjoy racing against them, though? Because I always thought, heck, you know, if I got a shot to measure myself against some of these other teams, you know, I love that.
You're leading the witness, Brian.
I'm sorry.
No. No, I absolutely racing against Sahlen's. And now I had mentioned before we went live that we used to race the car actually as a 330. And we took the 3 penalty laps, and that was a heck of a lot of fun to race against Sahlen's because we felt like we could really hang with. They wouldn't mow us down on the straight.
Right.
And, of course, the 3 penalty laps ultimately wasn't competitive the way that ChampCar is set up, and so we've taken it down to the 2.5. And so I don't get to stick with Sahlen's quite as much as I used to. But no, I appreciate that they are there, and I also appreciate being able to look at, you feel like they, from my perspective, they go by you pretty quick, but then you're looking at the time that they put down, and you know that you really are right there. 9 seconds or so isn't unattainable, I feel like, on our platform. And we've really only felt like we've gotten the car dialed in from a handling perspective this year. It's taken us 4 years to really make that car feel like it is very predictable and it does what we want it to do. And at the moment, we're still racing it as a 475-point car, so we have a little bit of wiggle room there for some go-fast parts.
So looking at video, I don't ever look at video, but today I was looking at some video because we had some interesting incidences, so I'm trying to figure out how, what the driver did to overdrive the car into the position he was in, stuck in a wall or bouncing off a wall or whatever. So I had some pretty good camera positions for that. So I'm watching this video and then I'm looking at cars and this, I was at Hallett 2 weeks ago and the Wheels America team, and there was a Celica there with a bunch of locals, and they're driving the lines. I mean, they are spot on every single lap. You could see how much faster they were to everybody else, and even in cars that potentially should have been faster. But it was the way the drivers are driving it and taking. I don't call it. Maybe you call it a risk. They were just on the gas way more than the other guys were. I'm seeing the same thing at Watkins Glen in the video. I'm looking at what's their name? Hold on. Let me look. The Rockwell's car. I mean, those guys run an IMSA. They top level drivers, or they're good drivers. I'm watching how they take some of those corners, how they're on the gas just completely through the corner, where you could see some guys just slowing and then accelerating out of it. Well, these guys never slowed. And not just them, but I'm looking at Sahlen's. They're doing the same thing. Visceral was the same way. And even Offic Racing, with their BMW, there's a different level of racing than with some of these guys. So you can't always you can't always blame the hardware. Some of it's the software behind the steering wheel.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question about that. And I didn't mean to make it sound like.
Oh no.
I'm certainly aware that that those guys are at the top of their game when it comes to racing, and that there's always more to learn. That perfect lap is always out there for all of us. You know what I mean? Like, no matter.
You say perfect lap. Those guys don't put in the perfect lap. They put in a really good laps over and over and back to back to back.
Yeah, I think
that's what I mean. And they're in pursuit of that perfect lap. And no one out there at Watkins Glen had a perfect lap. I can guarantee you that. There was a little bit more. There was a tenth to be eked out. And that's why we all keep coming back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I always describe racing as a lot like golf. You can hit one just awesome shot per round to make you think you know what you're doing. And the other 107 shots can be awful. But you've got that one shot that just looked good, felt good. And you can get close to that on the racetrack. You might have 150 laps in the car on a race weekend, and you might do 5 of them really feel good. And you can see it right on the lap times. And I think the real difference between some of those top teams and some of the teams that might not be that fast all the time is they're running 100 of those really good laps of their 150 versus other team drivers which might run 10 of the 150 laps like that.
Well, so most teams are in the 115 to 120s. There were some teams in the 115s. Yeah, the 116s to 125s. There were some top teams that were in the 213 7s to 215s. So you're talking
230s.
What?
Yeah, 2s.
Right.
Yeah, 2. Sorry, did I say 1?
Yeah.
Sorry, 2. And then Rockwell, the number 1 car, national champion car, pulls out a 212. But they did that on lap 126.
Right.
Now, thinking of that, knowing that the car blew up at 128, the engines always run the fastest
right before they
right
go
before they
kablooey.
blow up, right? So
Yep.
there you go.
No,
Yeah.
but what I was suggesting, Bill, was that the consistency, you know, is that, you know, if you're running, let's say 212 is your best, you know, I think the teams that run up front tend to have drivers that are going to run 212, 213, 214 all the time, most of their laps. And then you've got other teams who are going to run a 212 and then a 220 and then a 218 and then a 215 and they're getting a lot more of their laps in the top 5 percentile, whereas maybe some of the other teams aren't running as many of their laps in that top 5 percentile. And
and you look at most of this weekend the fast cars or the super fast cars didn't finish.
Right.
They didn't finish at the top. It was
that seems to be a trend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like Mustangs. They're Mustangs, Camaros. They're super fast at the beginning of the race, the D-class cars. But where are they at the end? Well, let me scroll. Let me keep scrolling. Let me keep scrolling.
And I don't understand that, only because those cars, have platforms that could be run detuned by 5%, and they'd run forever.
But they don't do that. They try to eke out that last RPM. The engine's designed for 5,600 RPM, but they're going to get 5,650 out of it, and boom.
Man, just redline it at 5,300 and then drive that car for 75 races in a row without touching the motor.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yes. and one of the teams that I race with does that. Yeah. With their Chevy V8. You're not allowed to take it to 55 or 56,000.
Whatever the number is.
Yeah. So you guys are racing a VIR 24. Now, if you had your choice of getting a different car, would you pick something different today?
So, Bill, that kind of segues in a little bit. We do have a car in development in the tank right now, and so we kind of already have picked the car, and I think it's a model that might surprise people. But we've also, of course, tossed around the Boxsters are always seem so competitive and certainly are set up for racing with the mid-engine configuration. So that's something else we've tossed around, but we are thinking about building a Z3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had a couple of teams do it. They still have that BMW issue.
Yeah.
It's an illness.
I don't know what that issue is, but historically they have not done well. But I mean, it could be the teams too. So,
yeah, we've been trying to take some Z3s haven't been done a lot in America. It's very tough to find documentation on building that platform.
I built a cage one, so I put a cage in a Z3 race at ChampCar. So, and it's a fun little car. It's tight config, but are you guys tall?
I'm 6'2", and I think Colin's 6'2". We're the tallest ones.
You just got to get that seat low and the cage high. So,
yeah. I think we'll be able to manage it. And it's just, I mean, we're chasing the lighter car. That's the one thing that we can't get away from. We feel like in the E46, you can't make that car as light as some of these others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could look at the VW Rabbit. Looking at you, Tim. That's an interesting car, Z3.
Yeah.
I might well. Now, 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder?
6-cylinder.
Okay.
I don't think we've actually got it on the VPI. I think I put it in the request, but I don't think I made it under the wire last year when they released the VPI for last year. So I expect to see it on there this year.
So, Bill, what happens if they show up with a car that's not on the VPI? Does it have to run in EC?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does.
Okay, that makes sense.
Unless it's we have the choice of saying no. So.
Well, but I mean, assuming that you let it in, it would run in EC.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, so before we get you out of here, Peter, is there anybody, sponsors you wanna thank? This is your time to shine.
Oh man. They're not sponsoring us, but FCP Euro is sponsoring us. You know what I mean? we get most of our stuff from FCP Euro, Hawk brake pads. We're loving them. Those are the two big ones.
Any family, significant others that help you, allow you, give you permission to?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have the support of our family. I'll give a shout out to Becky, Colin's wife. I'll give a shout out to my mom, Jill. I'll give a shout out to Kelly, my uncle's wife. They support us. They show up to the races. They help make sure that we're fed when maybe we would be thinking about other things like ripping a car apart. So none of it would be possible without them.
See, this is the part of the show, Bill, where I make sure our guests don't have to sleep on the couch tonight.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, thanks for joining us at the last minute there, and have a good race at VIR. Come talk to us, and afterwards we'll talk to you about your experience afterwards, because that will be a interesting discussion too.
For sure. Hey, I look forward to it. Thanks.
After your podium win, So
yeah, of course, of course.
All right, appreciate it.
I'll see you guys.
Yeah, you have yourself a great night. Okay.
You too. All right, bye.
All right, Bill. So talk to me.
See you later, Brian. Well, every time I thank all the wives, I get in trouble.
Well, no, come on now. Because you're not supposed to thank their wives. That's creepy.
Oh, well. Wow.
So, Bill, what do we got? We got something you're going to play here. I'm going to play. I'm going to play it.
Which one?
Don't you have some? Didn't we do some interviews from the race you did?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was the other thing.
Oh, no, I don't have that one ready.
So let me preface this. Is that the word? Let me put an asterisk. So I pulled the microphone out of the truck. Can't wait to go interview all these, podium guys. And I look at the battery and it says 1 bar on the battery on the microphone. I'm thinking, I don't have enough experience with this battery. But let me tell you, if it says 1 bar, change the damn battery. I got through to right at the end of asking Visceral who their drivers were, and it went, which tells me 100% static for the rest of the interviews, that the battery died in the mic. So we only have the Visceral interview on Saturday, but for Sunday we have them all.
Well,
so I know you guys are, you called your grandmother and your mom and your sisters and your potential girlfriends or boyfriends and said, hey, I want to be famous. I'm sorry. Next time. But yeah, so we had some, an interesting. No, I'm not going to make up anything there. So yeah, I actually thought about doing subtitles because the video worked fine. There was just no sound.
Right.
But, or maybe bad dubbing or whatever that is.
You could have made up their responses with subtitles. Yeah. Oh, that could have been too much fun.
Yeah.
That could have been fun.
NASCAR style.
I love it. All right, so let's get right to it. This is Saturday's Visceral interview, and then everything you got on Sunday. So this is from Watkins Glen. These are your winners and your almost winners from Watkins Glen.
Might win if we got lucky enough. We're just going to donate it to USO for this weekend. And my guys all stepped up. They did exactly what they needed to. No car con.
All right, guys. You know, when you finish up at the top, it's always going to be Bill.
We finished at the top with a brand new car that has done nothing but run.
Wait, just wait. Don't ruin the excitement. Visceral Racing, first place here at Watkins Glen. Brand new car, first time we run it. Never ran it other than your driveway, and you come out here and win.
Yes, yep, exactly. Went up my driveway a couple times. We started building this car right after Road Atlanta in February, and we were still working on it Wednesday night before we loaded it up on the trailer. So the big thing with the car, I think, for us was before we started the race, got all my drivers together, and I said, you know, guys, I don't want to win this race for Visceral or for our trophies. Let's win it for all our heroes who didn't make it home. This is why we celebrate this weekend. And I decided any kind of ChampCar box or anything we might win, if we got lucky enough, we're just going to donate it to USO for this weekend. And my guys all stepped up. They did exactly what they needed to. No car contacts, no offs, and they just kicked butt. So I want to thank them very much for it. And, you know, of course, looks like I'm going to be paying out some bucks over to the USO, and I don't mind at all. So ChampCar is great. I love you guys, and I can't wait for the next race tomorrow.
Now, you're a multi-veteran from over in different lands far away. You've been over there a bunch of times.
Yes, I have, and that's why this Memorial Day for me is very special because, you know, I've had friends who didn't make it home, and so now you're going to get me emotional, Bill. Don't do this. I'm in a happy place now. So it means a lot to me. So, you know, this, again, for all the people, not just people that I've known who didn't make it back, but for everybody else, because we would not be in this great country without all of their sacrifices. So yeah.
Tell me about Chloe.
Yeah, this is Chloe. Chloe's a 944 with a 3-liter swap in it. She's very great car. As soon as we went out yesterday in the test day, again, first time we've driven her. She's handling really well. We don't have quite the speed as the Sahlen's Boxers do, but that's okay. That's all right. But we're very happy with Chloe. And Rachel, our other car, which finished in 5th, she only has one race on her. Her first race was at Road Atlanta, so she came out here and she's done fantastic too. So, and that's Rachel.
So who were your drivers in this car?
So in this car we had Mike.
Down here was Sahlen's winner and second place here at the Sahlen's ChampYard Dog at the Glen. It's not your first rodeo here. You guys did pretty good again this weekend, but you had some fierce competition out there.
A lot of great cars out there, you know, but the Team Sahlen crew just put together a great Porsche. I had my hot dog yesterday, so that kind of fueled us through the weekend. But no, there's a lot of good competition out there, a lot of really good driving. It was professional out there. Everybody was respectful, but man, it is just managing traffic. So, you know, we have decades and decades of racing in the fast cars and the slow cars and pro and amateur, and just managing traffic and not losing seconds here and there is what this race is all about.
Now, your dad has decades and decades.
That's right. Let's keep it going. So
how do you prepare for something like this? I'm not saying that you're young like your son's here, but it's got to be hard out there, especially in this heat.
I exercise 5 days a week. I work out 5 days a week. I have for years. If I didn't, there's no way. If I didn't work out, I couldn't even get in the stupid things. These things are itty-bitty openings to get in, right? You know. But no, I work out 5 days a week trying to stay in shape. It's the only way you can do it.
So what's it like going from a Pinto to the Porsche?
It's like dating somebody and then dating the prom queen.
There you go.
You know, it's just unbelievable. But
So you like the
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no sound coming out of the video. You guys are helping to change the industry with packaging methods and.
Oh yeah, we've got a high pressure packaging system that
no sound coming out of the video.
gives us a
All right,
tremendous
Brian, let's
level
just
of
talk.
safety.
Go ahead and take the video
Very
off.
few
should have it now. You
leakers
should
or
have sound
anything
now.
like that, and you know we can put almost a year of code data on the product and open it up after that much time, and there's literally no bacteria growth whatsoever. So it's really been a tremendous help for us, and a huge layer of food safety, which is so important nowadays.
Well, thank you again for helping to sponsor this race, and congratulations on a winning weekend.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Joe. Ron from Bristol Racing, third place. Nobody wants to talk. They left it to Ron. Ron doesn't want to talk.
We didn't win, so nobody wants to.
Third place, man.
Yeah, third place is great. I was telling the guys, we're not greedy. We don't want to win first every single time or whatever. We just want to.
Wait. Let me interrupt you. Those guys look pretty sad over there.
Well, they are, yes, but not me. I'm not sad. But third place is great because now we get to add to our USO donation. So we're very happy with it. We were going to challenge for first. The pit stop, the windows just didn't work out well for us at the very end, and so Sahlen's got it. It's okay, it happens. Sometimes the racing gods shine on you, sometimes they don't. So
Where are you going to race with us next?
we have 2 months off, then we're going to go to Thompson, and then VIR, Thompson, and Mid-O. So we have 3 races in 30 days.
Cool. All right, and you can do it. We've seen it.
Yes, yep. And now I will be working on our new Boxster. It's now coming to my house, and now I'm going to see if I can add some cheaty stuff to that and see if we can't get it up to speed.
That's what you do, man. All right, congrats.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Phil Singer from down here with Alex Phil Singer with Rockwell Auto Sport Development. Was it 4th place overall here? Yep, 4th place. And with the Porsche, man, that was pretty tough towards the end there, man. People going off left and right, and
That was a really tough drive. The last couple laps, that E36 was coming for me. I think one more lap and we wouldn't have had it. So it was a fun battle.
tough out there with the slippery conditions.
It was getting slippery, and we're losing our rear tires too, so we were all over the place.
Fun car to drive?
Super fun. All the grip, lots of brakes, no power.
So that one car, do you guys hunt for each other when you're racing?
I think so, but I just joined the team today, so.
Yeah, cool. All right, where are you guys going to race at next,
That's a good question. I think VIR.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll see you there, and congrats on 4th place.
Thank you.
Down here with Bear Maximum, the 429 BMW, 5th place overall. Good race.
Yeah, thank you. It was a great race.
Not a win, though.
No,
We've seen you up there, haven't we?
Yeah, back in Daytona a couple months ago. Yep. So,
Good. Tell us about the slipperiness up there this afternoon. Was it pretty nasty?
It wasn't too bad. As the afternoon got on, it got more slick, and we were really pushing it pretty hard, trying to get on the podium again. But overall, car ran great, solid. We had to replace the transmission yesterday, so it was a bit of an up and down weekend for us, but turned out great.
You got mechanics that do all that for you?
we are awesome. Sadly, the mechanics.
All professional mechanics.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So who are your drivers this weekend?
It was myself, Ken.
Who are you?
Robert Parks.
When I put myself under your...
Oh, all right. I got it. So Robert Parks from just south of Philadelphia. Yeah. So Ken Adams, Savannah, Georgia, and the shirtless Parker Shields from outside of Daytona.
So was it pretty tough out there?
Yeah, it was a fun weekend. We had some transmission problems yesterday, but went well today.
Who caused those transmission problems?
Oh, that'd be Ken.
Yeah.
It happens.
So.
All right, guys, congrats. 4th place overall here at Watkins Glen on Sunday. Good race, guys. Blocks Racing. Down here with the B-Class winner, Blocks Racing, with their really nice-looking Cobalt on really cool high-tech jack stands. You can see them down there. So these guys have money. So what was that like out there winning B-Class?
Oh, it was pretty awesome. That's first time for us. We've never been in here in tech on jack stands, so it's a fun experience. Yeah.
Did they make you jack the car up, or do you have mechanics that do that for you?
The guys came in and did that for me. I wasn't doing that.
You just drove for like 2 hours, right?
Yeah, about an hour and 35 minutes, so I was sweating pretty good.
So who are your drivers this weekend?
There's 3 of us. Me, Dad.
Me, what's your name?
Ben Schuldeis. Then Dad, Steve Schuldeis over here.
I'll just name him Dad on the...
Okay, yeah, that works. And then Mark O'Leary over here.
All right, guys. guys. Congrats on your B-class win, and we'll see you at the next race.
Oh, sounds good.
Down here, JS Motorsports. Paul, you have a story to tell us about your A-class win.
I guess so. Yesterday the sun was in my eye, so I wore my cool shirt. Today I was getting a little hot, so I kept my sunglasses on.
So and we were getting ready to black flag you at the finish just in case you hit my camera.
Yeah. You didn't have any cameras first, right? Because I was first. So Jason kept it clean today.
Yeah, so you put the maturity in, kept it off the wall, because we did talk about that.
I didn't want to buy you another camera.
He looks like an ex-skateboarder, so we thought he'd alley-oop along the edge.
Yeah.
Probably got that all wrong. But, so good race for your team this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great weekend. 2 in a row, that's a big deal for us. And here at Watkins Glen, that's even better, right? And big team effort. All the drivers, all the crew, couldn't do it without all of them.
So your next race, are you guys going to splurge for the better beer?
Paul chose the Busch Lattes.
He looks like really upset I mentioned that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I think it's the king of cheap beer. So.
Well, yeah, and you're young, so yeah, it's better than Lone Star, let me tell you.
Okay. That's probably true.
Yeah, we're old Milwaukee. That's right. All right, guys, where are you going to race at next?
We're definitely going to Pittsburgh. I don't know if we're going to pick one up between now and then.
Who were your drivers?
Chris Smith, Paul Gellhaus, Mike Harshberger, and Jason Stewart.
Cool. All right, guys, congrats. A-class win.
Thank you.
Two times, right?
And welcome back to Inside ChampCar. Brian Bielanski here. Bill Strong is with us as well.
Somewhere here. There I am.
There he is.
Yeah.
So, well, that was an interesting little moment of moments.
Yeah, it happens. I'll post up the full interview here in a little once this show's over. There was some really good info there from a gentleman that's been racing for over 30 years, talking about the Code 35 that I found real cool.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was a fun race. We had the Sunday's F-class winner put into his proper class. He had a couple of parts on there he didn't know about or something, and that put him back up into class. So he was pulled it out, and the guys that won Saturday in F-class, they took home Sundays as well.
Nice.
Yeah, which is let me pull that up here real quick. Well, C-class was Visceral.
Okay.
Wait. Yes, Saturday. C-class was Visceral. A-class was JS Motorsports, which you just saw there at the end there. And D-class was RTR 51. And Average Joe's finished first in B-class. And MDR Motorsports finished first on both days in F-class. Nice. And, yeah, fun weekend. I love that track. People are fun there too. The driving was awesome. I mean, it's for our show. It was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
We worked on some new graphics. We had some help from some folks that do some super high level graphics, and they've done some stuff up for us, and we're able to really up the game in the leaderboard.
Nice.
So, yeah, and it's going to get better. Trust me. It will get better.
Speaking of graphics, have you noticed the little stuff on our stream?
I like that. Yeah.
So,
I like
all those winners, we could put their names down at the bottom on the ticker.
We could.
If I had thought about it.
There's more work we have to do.
Oh, no, more work I have to do. But yeah,
it was a fun race. We did have some issues. Do we have time?
Sure. I got nothing but time.
Yeah, we got told pit out. They had teams that weren't buckled in. They had teams that didn't have their helmets strapped on. They had teams with their Hans devices not Hansed up to the helmet, connected to the helmet.
Sure.
One team had all the belts buckled but one. And a a lot of in the past, I know our staff had kind of helped you get your stuff together. They've been told not to do that. If you don't have your stuff together, you get sent behind the wall. You have to fix it. Now the rule book, and I'm looking through the rule book here. There used to be a rule where it was like a 10-minute hold if you didn't have your stuff together.
Sure.
I know it's a 10-minute hold if you come in pit lane and your belts are off. You know how they do the last lap, and you come into pit lane, you start whipping your belts off, and that's a 10-minute hold instantly. So they're going to get really strict on that. So how to ruin a guy's race?
No,
you can do it yourself.
I say, how can a guy ruin his own race?
Yes, exactly.
Well, and it's important to have someone on your team who's responsible for being in your ear and or looking in the window through the window net to say, okay, let's make sure it's like the old Austin Powers, testicles, spectacles,
right?
Make sure you got it all together. Wallet, watch, all that kind of stuff. But whatever you need.
The other thing too, we had a team. I won't say who that team was, but they came into pit lane. They made a cut. Watkins Glen. You have the blend line, and if you cut in too quick, the corner workers don't really like it.
Right.
And this team got stuck behind a car that just suddenly slowed, and they went around them and then just cut down. Well, from inside the view and as a driver, I can see what he did.
Right.
And I understand why he did it. But when you're looking at it from the outside, you see a different view of it, and it might not have been the best move to make from the outside. I see it from the inside. I wanted to have an argument with our staff that said, no, that was wrong what he did. But I saw it from the driver's view. So did they. But I have the experience that this other person probably doesn't. And I saw what he did. And when they came into pit lane, they weren't happy with the way that the driver responded. The driver said that when he came into pit lane, he's got his ears, being bombarded with his pit crew telling him what to do, reminder to keep it at 20 miles an hour or so many RPM. Our pit, look for our pit box and, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. He's got a lot of instructions coming in over his ear, he said. And all he heard was something about don't do that again. And, you're in that second, he saw the timer go on the car and he gone. Well, of course, our staff just took that a little bit wrong, which, again, you're looking at it from their point of view, okay, but from the driver, he's got a lot of stuff going on at that time. So maybe you wait to do you wait to start getting your information a little, once you start moving. Don't talk to me until I start moving on pit lane. I don't know.
Right.
Looking outside the box, but.
Oh, so they wanted to talk to the driver as he came into pit lane.
Yeah.
And tell him what he shouldn't do again.
Yeah. Because he says box, box, box.
Sure.
I'm coming in. And
he pulls up for his timer.
Yep. And he's getting bombarded with info across the radio. And then our guy jumps in and says something, and he doesn't really know what's going on. So I look at it as you have different perspectives of what's going on from inside the car, up in the tower, the flaggers, the folks on the staff on pit lane.
Yeah.
So maybe we all need to kind of
I get it.
Respond to things.
I get it.
I'm probably going to get yelled at by my staff, but not my staff, but staff.
Well, it's like you said, it's all about perspective, and in the end, there's rules, and you got to follow them, and perspectives kind of don't really. There's no place in the rule book for perspective. It's really hard to write perspective into the rule book,
right?
And I'm sure at one point in time when cooler heads are there and it's not the heat of the moment, a reasonable discussion can be had, and that driver might handle things a little bit differently as well next time through as well,
And there were other things that I watching social media as part of my job, and some folks were on there. Why didn't this wreck get called, or why is this driver still out there? Well, I kept I keep the records. You know, I what I do. This is what I do during a race. I don't know if people know this, but I have two radios. One is ChampCar radio, and one is the Flagger radio. I'm listening to the flaggers talk back and forth with their flagger controller up in the tower, who's a couple of chairs away from me.
Right.
ChampCar race control is up there as well. Dana and timing and scoring, or Chelsea. And I take everything that the corners. I've been doing this lately. Everything the corner worker says, I put in the log.
Sure.
And then if it's ruled differently by the race director or the flag director, I'll update. So if the corner workers aren't telling us that somebody's been driving, I don't know, I think asshat was used at one point. You know, this, like, you know, just use any term like that. If they were driving like that and the corner worker's not telling us, we don't know. And you can't sit there blaming us that we're not doing our job. But if we are not told, or the race director is not told, then hey, you know, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, we have clear rules in the tower about how we handle these situations. And, you know, you're going to get held.
Right.
You know, 2 minutes. You know, a lot of times the first issue is, hey, let's talk to the driver. You might have some issues. You know, sometimes people get wore out and they just don't make good decisions driving. You know, when you're, what do you call it? Out, you need to drink some water. And, you know, we'll talk to you. We'll see if you're, you know, if you just answer all weird, hey, you might want to get out of the car.
Sure.
Even talk to your team. But, you know, if you come in pit lane and, you know, yeah, you did wrong and you know, we'll let you sit for 2 minutes. Second time, 4 minutes or 3 minutes. You know, it's a set time for each time you do it. I think after 3 times, they ask you to step out of the car.
Yeah.
Not there, but in your pit lane. If you get asked to step out of the car right there, it's something really bad happened.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think three discussions is reasonable. I mean, at the end of 3 discussions, if you haven't got your stuff straightened out, it doesn't make sense to me that that's an unreasonable time to say it's time for you to sit. You know.
You know, there's a lot of money out on that track, man.
Yeah.
There's people out there, a lot of people.
Well, money aside, you want everybody to go home.
Yeah.
Safe.
And, you know, we don't want you wrecking other people's stuff either. So,
right.
You know, it's, you got to wear your safe. The story here is make sure you guys are, you know, strapping in your drivers properly. I know that we had a bunch of new teams, and I'm not saying it was the new teams having those issues. Don't know. I don't know what teams were having those issues, but you know, you got to take your time, and it's hard. You know, sometimes you just get that focus. What's that called when you just
the red mist?
Yeah, the red mist. You got to get rid of that and just kind of focus on what you slow down, strap the guys in, girls in, ladies in, whatever.
Because you know, 10 more seconds to get everything right is better than sitting for 2 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever the penalty might be.
Or having to go back around. You know, make sure you have your driver band on. Right. You're authorized to be in that car. We have a lot of arrive and drive guys that just think, put my helmet on and go racing, and then they get to pit out and they're being sent back because their team captain forgot to give them their wristband or whatever we're using that race to signify that you're approved to go on track. So,
and let's face it, you know, there's only a handful of teams that are really going to vie for the top spots every weekend anyway.
Right.
By the time you get to a certain point in the race, so skimping and then waiting even longer isn't going to make that big of a difference in your race.
Right.
If you hang out for another 10 or 15 seconds to make sure everyone's strapped in properly.
The other issue we saw was that we had a lot of like passing under yellow, or not passing under yellow, speeding under yellow flag.
Oh.
And these guys were trying to.
I know what to try to do.
Yeah, and they were trying to do it, and we're catching them. And what's really cool now is something we didn't have before. The last couple of races we have had it. Is it actually automatically logs the speed? In the past, we actually had to watch it and look for the speeders, but it logs it for us now. So we know when you sped up and when you slowed down.
Right.
When you sped up again and went to 42 miles an hour, and then you slowed down. Well, we're going to hit you with that 42 miles an hour. You're going to be sitting in pit lane.
Wow.
So the first time is like, we talk to you. Usually it's the first time in the morning. And then after that, it's you're sitting for 2. Next time you're sitting for 4. Next time you're sitting for 6. So they just keep adding time on. And the crazy part is you may not have been the one that sped under the code 35 or whatever. It may have been the driver before you, and we're just catching up now.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, because we won't pull the black flag when we're under a code 35 or yellows. We will wait until we're green flag racing.
Sure.
Just keep penalties equal.
Yeah.
So really important. And I know that Ray was, there was a couple of our staff that were just really adamant that you guys really need to stop and review your safety measures. One thing that I saw too was that teams have these little tiny fire bottles, and they're not the approved Lifeline little tiny fire bottles. They were just the kitchen fire bottles that you have at your home.
Right.
So 10-pound fire bottle ABC has to be on pit lane for when you fuel. We have in the past actually not allowed you to fuel until you get one.
Oh.
Yeah, and having 2 5-pounders is not the same. So 10-pound, and I'm pretty certain they're going to be checking every race. So yeah, big. And we've had fires, and they suck, dude.
Oh yeah,
they suck. And you want every 10-pounder flying over that wall, putting that fire out. Let me tell you. So
yeah, and your competitors are going to jump over the wall with their 10-pounders too to help out, but you can't count on that.
No. And we've seen it on TV. These guys, the fire marshals come up with these 20-pounder, the big fire bottles, and they have a hard time with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the idea with having your own fire bottle, if anybody's wondering, you're closest to your own car, and you're going to know you're on fire before anyone else, and putting out a small fire is a heck of a lot easier than putting out a big one.
Yep.
It is.
Yep, that's right.
Speaking from someone who used to work for a volunteer fire department.
Yeah. And one of the things that I noticed, I'm up in the tower, so I'm looking down on everybody as I always do. So one thing that I watch is like there's people oblivious to what's going on around them when they're sitting in their pit box.
Yeah.
And there's a team right next to them fueling. Yeah. It's like keep an eye on what's going on. I know there's a lot of stuff going on pit lane, but you really need to watch it because something bad could happen. And if you're watching what's going on all around you, then you'll better prepare to deal with the situation, which is either help, fight or flight.
Right.
So,
and it's also important to keep your fuel safe.
Yeah,
when
away
you're
from the pit wall.
When you're not fueling, keep it in a spot where if something happens in someone else's pit, you're not going to have an issue because now all of a sudden your fuel's on fire.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
Oh, there's a great video. I think it was a Mexican NASCAR or South American, Brazilian NASCAR race.
Right.
Where the guys are trying to fuel, and just something breaks, and just fuel is just going everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for that whoosh. Doesn't happen.
Yep.
And they were so lucky.
Yep.
But it's things like that you just really have to, be aware of.
Yeah, you don't think about it until it's too late.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh gosh, I wish I would have thought about that.
Yeah.
So,
and
all
Kyle Fegley's on here talking about the little red car that caught on fire right in their pit stall. So yeah, it happens. It happens fast. So a lot of safety stuff this weekend. Nothing bad really happened at the track, but we saw potential, which we don't like. And yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the good things that we get to do here with our little public service is we can talk about this stuff, and we don't have to call out people individually because they're good lessons whether you're a brand new team or whether you're a team that's run 100 races. Because, sometimes the teams that run 100 races are more dangerous than the brand new teams because they get cocky or they get complacent or whatever the terminology you want to use is, gosh, I've done this. I've been there. I've done a lot because I've seen a lot, kind of thing. And so I've seen some of the most veteran of drivers, the most veteran of teams do some of the most boneheaded things because they think they are like, we've done this so many times, everything's fine.
Right,
like getting
Kyle
under.
Kyle said it was my car, by the way, that caught on fire.
Oh,
and it
was
was.
it?
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, you might be able to get under a car 100 times without jack stands, but it's the 101st time when the jack fails. That's the stupid decision you make, and then all that kind of stuff. So
for that time I'm putting in the transmission, got the car up in the air, cannot figure out why I'm having such a hard time putting the transmission on, and I'm moving it all around. I mean, it's crazy. And my sponsor looks down, one of my drivers looks down, and Gene says, Bill, get out from under the car now. And the way he said it was, I need to get out now. And I did. Come to find out, the engine was being held in by the wiring harness because my engine mounts broke. Didn't know it. That's what broke the transmission. Engine mounts broke. Toyota MR2, it's held in by one engine mount and 3 transmission mounts. Well, I had the engine held up at a certain spot with no issue, but the other side wasn't. I thought it was, and that thing had, That was when I had the really crappy wiring in the car, and I'm glad I did, because it was a lot of wiring.
Yeah.
So that held it up there, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, safety is huge, and I know I look down and I yell at that little guy down with the green car, Biohazard, and he's got that's a really big fire extinguisher he has, and you realize it is a 10-pounder. He's just really little, the scale.
There we go. All right, what's up
All right,
next?
man.
What's up next?
We are at Autobahn in like 2 weeks or something. I don't know. I think I have 2 weekends off. This next weekend, I'm going to South Boston Raceway, and I'm going to see some real tarmac racing in a circle.
Wow.
Gonna do some photos and stuff. I got my media credentials today for that, and I don't know. We're doing a lot of stuff. Kids, future daughter-in-laws, or I don't know, daughter-in-law, whatever.
Yeah.
Ian's girlfriend's graduation parties this weekend, so we're going down to Richmond for that. And my wife turns 50 tomorrow.
You're not supposed to say that.
Yeah, she's turning 50.
Ugh.
So we're having a surprise party for her, like, tomorrow.
It's not a surprise anymore, Bill.
She doesn't know it. Like, everybody's showing up. She's all, yeah. She's all freaked out over thinking everybody's going to show up.
All right.
So,
well, my kid graduates from high school in 2 days or 3 days.
oh, cool, man.
So
Yeah,
we
then the fun begins. They're off to college.
got a lot of doing. So
Yeah.
all right. Anything else before we head out?
Nope, just Autobahn. We need, always wanting more cars to Autobahn. We got CMP coming up. National Board of Directors meeting is going on there as well. I'll start putting up information about that soon. We have, and that's it. I don't know what else I'm going to say. I'm just no script tonight.
It's all good. It's all good.
So welcome back, Brian. I'm glad you're back. The numbers were really low last week when they heard I was just on it. So
come on now. All right. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel so you won't miss any episodes. Share it on your social media channels. Comment on the ChampCar Facebook page. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. This is ChampCar Live. You're listening to the Race and Wire Podcast Network and ChampCar Live on YouTube. You guys have yourselves a great weekend. See you next week.